Pokemon regions can be by far the most enjoyable things about going through the Pokemon games. We've been through 9 generations of Pokemon, and every single game gives us a completely different region for us to go through. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my personal favorites and my least favorite regions in all of Pokemon. Now, obviously, there's going to be something I need to mention here. Since Legends Arceus is also its own game, and there's also a region in that game which is called Hisui, which is basically an early version of Sinnoh, will also include that, which that technically makes it 10 regions, but Legends Arceus basically came out roughly the same time, around about Gen 8, which was Sword and Shield, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So they're both basically Generation 8. They're both technically Generation 8 as well. So let's get into this video. We're going to be talking about my favorite regions, and then we'll be slowly walking down to my least favorites. My first overall favorite region of all time is the Galar region, which is my #1 favorite region. This was not my... I originally had something else as my favorite region until this region came along. And no, before anyone says, no, this is not my favorite region because of a certain water-type gym leader. A certain water-type gym leader that is in this game is certainly not the main reason why I've chosen this as my favorite region in the entire series. No, don't get any ideas of thinking that's the main reason. One of the main reasons why I picked this as my favorite region is because of the legendaries. I think Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus are really cool. I think the starters are really cool. I think a lot of the Pokemon that are exclusive to the Galar region are very, very good. The gym leaders are also pretty good, but also the main reason why I really do enjoy this game is because of the story. Basically revealing Chairman Rose as the villain behind and trying to doom the world with the darkest day. Sure, Pokemon stories aren't that deep, but I thought that was one of the biggest reasons. But overall, Galar is just... And also, Galar is perfectly functional. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. People have made fun of Galar for so many years. People talk about Galar, they make fun of Galar and why they're terrible games. But I tell you what, they're way more functional than Scarlet and Violet, I'll tell you that much. They're way more functional than Scarlet and Violet, that's for sure. There are definitely some glitches and bugs in that game, but to me, when I played through Sword and Shield, the game was perfect and nothing bad happened when I played it. Like, there was just nothing wrong. I also love the DLCs. I don't really like the Island of Armor very much, but I still did enjoy the DLCs. Like, the Galarian birds, the Reggies, the new Reggies, and all that. Like, Galar to me is a perfect Pokemon game. Like, there's nothing wrong with Sword and Shield, the Galar region. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. Second favorite region is the Hoenn region. I have always been a Hoenn baby for a long time. And for those that don't know what Hoenn is, it is the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games. And come on, Hoenn was always my favorite region before Galar overtook it. You cannot make me hate Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza. The original trio. The original trio. Well, actually, technically, Zapdos and all them are the original trio. But to me, Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza will always be my favorite trio. How can you not hate the Reggies? How can you not hate Latios and Latias? I mean, how can you not hate pseudo-legendaries like Metagross and Salamence? Like, Hoenn just has so many great Pokemon. And the gym leaders are really good. And the gym leaders are great. The champions are really good. And the banger music in those games is just so chef's kiss. Just so good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the Hoenn games. The remakes, I definitely go back and play those a whole lot. Man, they're just, man, Hoenn is just my favorite region, man. You can't make me hate Hoenn. It's such a great region. It's just such a great region. I obviously love the starters in that game as well. They're like my original OG. And some of you may say, well, yeah, obviously you didn't grow up playing Kanto and Johto. Which, yes, I did grow up playing those games, but the games I was more nostalgic to was the Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. You know, this may be a little bit controversial, but I'm actually going to put Kalos as a region I actually like. I actually don't mind Kalos. Kalos, which is X and Y, by the way. I actually think Kalos is actually alright. I think it's an alright region. It's definitely a game. It's definitely one of those games I've definitely gone back to a couple of times. And the starters, other than Fennekin, are good. The legendaries are fine. Xerneas and Yveltal and Zygarde. The only bad things about Kalos, is lack of legendaries, because all you get is one legendary bird and Mewtwo, and also lack of Mega Evolutions that you battle against, because there's not many you can battle against. But, yeah, and also I guess they're quite easy games as well. They were the first ever 3DS games. But other than that, I think Kalos are really, really, really good games. I don't think they're bad games at all. Another region I actually don't mind is Unova. I actually don't hate Unova, which is black and white. I think the Unova regions are actually... I think the Unova region, which is black and white, is not bad. Like, and also Black and White was the first games that made me really love the music. I love N's music. I love the legendaries, which is Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem. I love the starters. And also the gym leader music. Before Sword and Shield came along with their gym leader music, the Black and White gym leader music was my favorite gym music of all time. Also, the Black and White Elite Four music is still my all-time favorite Elite Four music. Galah's is just a bit of a remix. It's a bit of a remix of their gym leader music, and also Scarlet and Violet's is not bad, but nothing tops Black and White's in my opinion. Maybe Generation 3. I love their Elite Four music as well, but Black and White to me is up there at the very top. So Black and White is a good region. I think it's a good region. Lots of good Pokemon. And it was one of the most overhated regions before, and it was one of the most overhated regions because they had nothing but new Pokemon. So, and also I think a lot of the gym leaders are really good as well. You know, some of them can be quite challenging if you're not prepared. But overall, I like Unova. I think Unova is fine. I think it's a good region. Paldea, I don't hate it. But to me, it's in the middle. To me, this is in the middle. This is something it's not a region I don't hate, but it's also a region I don't really love. I mean, I think the region itself is fine, but obviously there's a lot of glitches when it comes to Pokemon being stuck in walls, stuck on fences. You know, there's certain glitches that you kind of experience in those games. Something that Sword and Shield didn't have, which is why I believe Sword and Shield is better. But yeah, Paldea is fine. Like, the starters, I think, are pretty fine. The legendary Pokemon, which is Qrydon and Miraidon, the fact that they are basically with you at the very start is so bizarre to me. It's so bizarre to me that they went with that decision. But also, after you beat the main game, you can kind of go back to Area 0 and find a second Qrydon or a second Miraidon. That's the one you battle in the end game. You can basically just go back and then catch the second one in Area 0. You can just go back to Area 0 and then catch the second one. And also, one of the weird things about I'm confused by is that many Pokemon YouTubers tend to call the Paradox Pokemon legendary. I don't consider them legendary, if I'm being honest. I don't really consider them legendary. The DLC in Scarlet and Violet. Not as good as Sword and Shields, but I think they're all right. I think they're all right. Like Ogerpon's pretty all right. The Loyal 3 is fine. Terapagos is fine. But yeah, like I think other than the Paradox Pokemon, there weren't really many good legendaries. And then we also find out that the right Pokemon you had is also a Paradox Pokemon, which, you know, I think a lot of people might have figured it out. But overall, I don't mind Paldea. Like, Nemona, female Goku, which is what I call her, she's funny. She's one of the better things about the game. She's funny and pretty cute. And also, Iono, the 4th gym leader, the electric gym leader, I think she's alright. I think she's funny. And also, she's a streamer. And electric type is my favorite typing, so of course I'm gonna have a soft spot for her. But other than that, Paldea is alright. Don't love it, don't hate it. Regions I do not really like all that much. I don't really like Johto all that much. I know there are going to be some people that really do like Johto, and if you do, that's perfectly great. And one thing I think everybody needs to understand, and I knew I should have said this at the start of the video instead of midway through, is that this is all my opinion and my subjective opinion, so you may have different favorites than me, but so please don't get upset if your favorite region is a region I don't like. But, yeah, like, Johto's fine. I think their starters are good, other than Chikorita. The legendaries, like Lugia, Ho-Oh are great. Raikou, Suicune, Entei. Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, they're really awesome as well. But the legendaries are really the only thing I really like. And one of the things I don't like about Johto is the level scaling and how weak everything is. Like, it's just not good scaling. And I think that's one of the biggest problems I have with Johto. So, other than Cyndaquil and Feraligatr and the legendaries, there's not a lot of good things I can say about Johto. So, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I guess I should also talk about this region, because I technically like this one as well, so I'll put this one above the one I just said I don't like, Johto. Another one I actually really like, well actually I'll put this above Paldea as well, because I said Paldea is mid. Another one I actually like is Sinnoh. The fact that I almost forgot to talk about this and put this in a different category, I would have had people flaming me. Sinnoh I think is great. The starters are great. Like, Sinnoh just started, like, all the legendaries, like, the late trios, like Uxie, Mesprit, Azel, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, God himself, Arceus, Darkrai, Shaman, Regigigas, Heatran, Cresselia, and many other, and also new evolutions, like pre-evolutions, like for Snorlax, and giving Electabuzz, and Magmortar, Tangela, all these other Pokemon evolutions. They're great. I think Sinnoh's a great region, and Sinnoh is fantastic. I think Sinnoh's fantastic. I really like this one, so I'll put this above Paldea. Because that's another region I like. Paldea is, like, in the middle, like, in the grey area. I don't love it, and I don't love it, I don't hate it, but it's alright. And now we're in the negatives with Johto. Hisui is just an early version of Sinnoh. The only thing I love about Sinnoh is Erida from the Pearl Clan. I think she's quite cute. I think she's quite cute. And other than that, really nothing else. Like, Sinnoh, as I said, is just an early version of Sinnoh. Like, all the legendaries are the same. All the Pokemon are the same. Other than the starters are like 3 different ones from different regions. The only big difference is that Palkia and Dialga get origin forms, which is basically them looking like Arceus. which they basically look a little bit like Arceus. They have 4 legs and they have like a different form. So Hisui is alright. Hisui is alright, but it's not my overall favorite. And I guess I should also mention another thing I like about Scarlet and Violet is also Karen, because I think she's one of the more... And she's definitely cute. I definitely forgot about her. But anyway... But anyway... yeah. Hisui, not my favorite, but it's alright. It's alright. So now I'm probably getting close to... We should be at the last 2 regions now. I've talked about every single region. Now we're at the last 2. My 2 least favorite regions, and I'm going to be putting... I'm going to be putting Alola next. I do not like Alola. The legendaries are fine, like Cosmog, Solgaleo, Lunala. They're fine. The starters are fine. The Ultra Beasts are cool, but they're not legendaries. Other than that, I'm just not a fan of the Unova games. Not Unova, what am I saying? Alola games, which is Sun and Moon. I'm just not a fan of those. Like, they were just really boring games. Obviously, I've beaten them. But, man, I just didn't really enjoy them very much. And, obviously, they had things differently. They didn't have gym leaders and all that. It was just a completely different experience. And I've tried to go back to play the Sun and Moon games, but I get very bored of them. I get very bored of them very quickly. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Sun and Moon, the Alola region. And my most disliked region, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this one, is Kanto. Now, before you all get mad at me, I don't hate Kanto. I actually think Kanto is an alright region. Their starters are great. The starters are nostalgia. Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, love them. They're great. I love Mewtwo. I love the legendary birds. But the main reason why I put them down this low is because of how often and how many times you go back to Kanto. Like, we played Kanto 3 times on the original Game Boy, which is red, blue, and yellow, and also apparently green if you're in Japan, and green if you're in Japan. So that's 4 times you play through Kanto. They did a remake on the Game Boy, which is Leaf Green and Fire Red, so that boosts us up to now 7 times you play through Kanto. 2 more... There'll be other times you play through Kanto, which is in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, which is in the post-game of the Johto games, and also Heart Gold and Soul Silver in the remakes. So that puts us at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 10, and then you get Let's Go. And then you got the Let's Go games, which is Pikachu and Eevee. 12 times we play through Kanto. 12 times. You can't make this up. There are 12 occasions you play Kanto, and obviously it gets very, very annoying real quick. I get making Kanto remakes, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and I get it for the Switch. Let's go. But the fact that Johto also had Kanto, which really boggled my mind on why they couldn't just add something else as the post-game in those games, but yeah, you go through Kanto so many times, it just gets so irritating, the amount of times you go through Kanto. The amount of times you go through Kanto in most Pokemon games is insane. We've only returned it to Hoenn once, which is with the remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. We go back to Johto once, with the remakes, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. We go back to Sinnoh one time, which is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Technically 3 times if you include Hisuian. But the point that I am making is that we don't go back to these regions 12 times. We don't play through these regions so many times. And that is my only reason why I really dislike Kanto. The amount of times you go back. Let's Go is such a boring game. I loved playing it when I first got the games, but when I went back to play them in my playthrough, it got very, very boring very, very quickly. It got very, very boring very, very fast. But that's my point. Playing Kanto so much just drains me. It drains me how much you play Kanto. Look, as I said, I love Kanto. I don't have anything wrong with the region itself. But the fact that we play Kanto so many times in these games is absolutely ridiculous. So please do not hate me for putting Kanto down the bottom. I do like the region. I only dislike the region because of the amount of times we've had to play through it over the years. So there you have it, guys. That is my personal opinion of my favorite regions, from my favorites to the ones I'm alright with to the ones I dislike. I'm pretty sure most of you may not agree with my decisions, but agree with me, but that's perfectly fine. This is a subjective topic, not a facts topic. Be sure to let me know your favorite regions down below. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.